Into the sixth episode of Outsourcing Live, I'll be talking about how to outsource an internet business part 2. I will be continuing on from last episode and explore how to outsource content creation and traffic generation to the niche site using the case study we have been talking about. Also, in the quick tip, there is a fast way allowing you to communicate your task to your virtual assistant by easily recording your screen and speaking into the microphone. So let's get straight into it.
Welcome to the Outsourcing Live podcast, where you will learn to build a virtual team to run your business. And now, your host, Tyrone Shum.
Hi everyone, and thanks very much for listening to this next podcast in this series on the Outsourcing Live. In part 2 of today, I'll be talking a little bit more in detail on how to outsource your internet business, which I pretty much will be leading on from last session's podcast, which I talked about last time, where to find a VA or virtual assistant, how to be able to get them hired, and also what kind of things to give to them as they need to do to focus on the niche site. And I went through the initial stages, which was to show them or show you how I went about with the engagement gift ideas niche website, where we looked at basically doing market research for the niches. Then we jumped into talking about how to purchase and go about getting the domain name. And then lastly, I showed you last time exactly how we went about setting up the websites as well too. So in this session, I'm going to be talking about creating content, how to outsource all that, and I'm going to be talking about how to be able to generate traffic to your site by using the virtual assistant to do that all for you. And then lastly, we'll talk a little bit more about how to go about monetization. And that will be something you'd want to be taking hands on, because that's an important aspect to manage as the site continues to grow. All right, so today's topic is really, really exciting, because these are the things that I also got outsourced quite pretty much the whole time. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not a strong writer. I'm usually a better presenter when I'm on video, and I'm better at audio. So that's why I've done video and podcasting. All my videos and everything have been all transcribed, which has all been written in text. But when it comes down to me sitting down and actually writing an article, I can't do it. So that's the reason why I'm very fortunate to have an extremely well skilled, extremely successfully skilled virtual assistant who has very strong article writing skills, and she loves writing, and that's the reason why she's great for this. So what I've done is, the first thing with engagement gift ideas, after she had gone through to set up the whole site, she already knew exactly what to do because I had provided her with her training. But essentially, the whole training that was in between for all this to get her to create content for the site was just a few simple guidelines that I went through. And it comes back down to copywriting 101, which is to write an article with roughly at least 400 to 600 words. These are really articles that are targeted towards that niche. And also to write at least 3 articles daily. And essentially all it had was the introduction, a body, and then also a conclusion. And within all that body and the introduction, or the heading I should say, we had our targeted keywords in there. With those targeted keywords inside the introduction and also for the body, it allowed us to be able to write some really, really good content and use that content to create some backlinks. So I'll explain to you what backlinks are shortly in a moment, but what I trained her to do was I got Jo, which I mentioned in the last episode, to write articles for me on a daily basis, and she had to write a minimum of 3 articles. And what we'd do is that we'd aim to write at least 30 articles within, say, a week or 2. And once that's been written, these articles can actually be turned into multiple different articles. So you have a set of articles ready to be posted out, and they can be scheduled to be posted out on a daily basis up until they've all been finished posting, which is for the first month. So you pretty much have everything already done for the first month to get your content on your blog. Now, to do content writing, she has to go out and do all the research for me, which is exactly what she was hired to do. Go out, find out all about the niche, then come back and start writing the articles. And that does take a bit of time. You know, you need to allow and to give them at least an hour or so for each topic to be able to do some research. And what I'm saying, I'm not saying to you need to allow an hour for an hour for each post, but an hour or so for them to go out and research as much as they can about the topic and then start writing about the different topics. And what we did was we did like 3-part series, just exactly how I'm showing right now in the 2-part podcast series. We split it all up. So the first topic might be on something like how to be able to set up an engagement party. And one of the topics that we just wrote about was a 2-part topic on how to set up an engagement party, what gifts to buy, what etiquettes that you need to be aware of, how to write your cards, etc. and so forth. And you can obviously see that on engagement gift ideas on how those articles are written. But the thing is that if you get her to learn to be smart about it, she can write, say, 10 articles from basically a 2,000 word articles or something like that. So she might write 3,000 words or 2,000 words of one post and then split up into separate parts. And that's what I've taught her to do, with having at least between 400 to 600 words per article. So that's how we get content created quickly and fast. And I can't really quite say much more than that, because when I got it outsourced, I didn't even have to be involved. The only time that I got involved was when she said to me, can you please have a look at it and tell me what you think? And I said, all right, I'll have a look at it. And I did. And I just didn't even need to make any changes because her writing was absolutely perfect. So she kept doing what she did and just had it all scheduled for 30 posts to be scheduled out to go out daily. So 1 post every day. And that was perfect for that blog. Once that's been done, that's the first part of creating content. The next part is to look at getting content syndicated out into pretty much the web. And this is how we're going to be able to, this is how we did and generate traffic back to our site. And to be able to get it to rank on Google as well. There are a few things that needed to be done in order for that to happen, and I'll run through with you some of the steps that was going through. And this is what you'll need to do as well to get your virtual assistant to set up for you and to have running in the background. These things are quite simple to do, and it does take time, and that's why I got my virtual assistant, or outsourced it to my virtual assistant to do. Now I'll give you some examples. We had to set up numerous accounts on different sites, so that way we can post different articles to them, and that way we can get some traffic from them. And the reason behind that is because if you want to be ranked on the first page of Google, or to even be ranked on Google, Google looks at one of the criteria on your site. And one of the criteria is that if you have any links going back to your site, then there's obviously a ranking or a positive thing for your site, and Google looks at that positively. And and if you can have more links back to your site, then the better it is for your niche site. And this is what we're doing. We're creating separate accounts on, say, sites like WordPress, Blogger, Tumblr, Squidoo, numerous article directories, and YouTube as well. And by doing all that and embedding our content into a different version of the original content and left a link in there, it allowed us to create more backlinks to our site. And by having these backlinks, we've got some like over 1,200 backlinks back to our site because we've actually syndicated these out to different areas. It makes a huge difference because obviously it's helped us rank on the first page of Google and currently sitting at position 8. And not before long, I think we'll probably be reaching the first few spots as well. And when we get those spots, we can obviously get all that traffic organically from Google in itself. Now, talking about setting up accounts, these things are necessary to be done, and it doesn't necessarily need to be done yourself. And that's why I've been talking quite strongly about outsourcing all this. Setting up and creating a new account is a simple, repetitive process. So get her to log into WordPress, Blogger, Tumblr, and so forth. And that's what Joe did for me. Also, too, we had a separate email that was set up as well. So that way we receive these activation accounts as per se. Most of these accounts, when you need to set them up, you need to confirm them. So we had it like a separate email, not the main email, from our niche site set up, so that way we can receive it, because most likely they'll send us out newsletters and information that we don't want to read anyway. All right, that was really important because once those things set up, you're done. And I asked Joe previously, how long does it usually take to set up these sites? Initially, when she first started, she said it took her about 15 to 20 minutes to set up each one individually, which is not too bad because I thought, that's how long it usually takes me to sign up. But she said she got it down to about 3 minutes or so per site because there are going to be a lot of sites for her to set up. And in total, just the article directories alone, there's about 20 article directories and then numerous different video channels as well that we set up. And also too, we went across to different forums as well to set up different links as well. So what I'll do is, if you're interested in getting a list or the details of all these directories and also where to get your virtual assistant to do, I'll put a list of all these things on this podcast show notes, which you can find basically at outsourcinglive.com/podcast-006, which is episode 6 here. And you'll be able to just get access to that, and you can literally just take that list, copy it and give it to your virtual assistant and get her to set it up all for you. Once that's all set up, we're all pretty much ready to go because you only need to set up this once for your niche site and then start to send out articles and post them to there. And that's the beauty of doing this, is that when you get it outsourced to your virtual assistant, they'll know exactly how to go about doing that because they've already firstly written all the daily posts and also know exactly what's been written to go to those directories. And all I did was I provided her with some additional training material on specifically how to be able to get some links or put these links inside these individual posts. But before we did post them out, what we need to do is to get these 30 articles, which we wrote initially as original content, and spun them so that they're rewritten and they're not the original articles, because you do not want to be submitting the exact same content that you've written for your post out to these directories. And the reason behind that is because at the end of the day, Google looks for original content. And if you have numerous versions of exactly the same content, it will say that all you're doing is spamming the internet with the same content. So it's wise to actually get your articles rewritten and or spun. Now, there are two ways you can go about doing it. You can either get your virtual assistant to spend time to rewrite each individual of the 30 articles and basically sit there and just do it, which will take a lot longer, or use a spinning software which allows you to be able to spin these articles very quickly and have them rewritten uniquely for you with the software. And the tool that I've given to my virtual assistant, Joe, to use to spin all these articles we did for engagement gift ideas was a software called Try the Best Spinner. This is also an affiliate link as well. So if you do decide to click on this and take a look at it, which is a fantastic software, and you do decide to purchase it, I do get an affiliate link from that. And I just want to initially just say thank you if you do that. And I guess I wanted just to mention that this particular software is very, very powerful because it will save you a lot of time. Not just you, but also your virtual assistant, because you can leverage and get a lot more done. And basically what I usually get Joe to do for us is, with these 30 original articles, we get them spun into 40 individual different articles on top of that. So it's basically 30 multiplied by 40, and therefore you can have up to 1,200 individual spun content available to be submitted. And it comes in handy because not only will you be submitting it just to those article directories, those blog directories, those Web 2.0 directories that I've just mentioned, she'll be submitting it also through to different networks, which there'll be also a tool I'm going to share with you shortly how she goes about doing that. But that's what you need to really consider doing, is to leverage their time and also leverage using tools to be able to do that. And something like trythebestspinner.com is an excellent piece that allows you to spin multiple initial versions. Therefore, you've got, as I said, at least 1,200 different articles that you can send out. Now, you might be wondering, okay, we've got all these articles. How the heck does she have time to be able to submit these? All right. Well, one, I usually don't get her to submit the 1,200 straight away because, one, if you submit that many all in one go to all the directories, you won't have enough time to do it. That's one thing, because she won't be able to submit 1,200 in one day. And two, you'll get marked on Google and they'll notice that all you're doing is just creating basically a spam site, and you don't want that. What we want to do is to submit these articles out onto these sites so that it creates basically backlinks. That's the first initial reason, but also to provide content in different areas and different forms. If you've seen, as an example, there is a software called TubeMogul. And what TubeMogul does is that it submits one video to, I think, 15 to different video networks available in the market. There's like YouTube, that's one of them. There's Yahoo Videos, Google Videos, Vidler, Blip.tv. It submits the one video out to multiple networks, and therefore allowing for different audiences and different networks to view your video. Now what we're doing right here is doing exactly the same thing. The only difference is that we're spinning the version, essentially the same content, but spinning into a rewritten version so that it'd be seen on different networks in order for other people to see. And when it's seen on different networks such as WordPress, article directories, Squidoo, etc., there's a great chance that your audience or your readers will come to your site because of that fact. And that's what we want to do. All right, I've explained to you how these things have been set up, and by now you can see that she's taken over a lot of this. I'm explaining to you exactly what she does, and this is what I overlook essentially. I don't get involved in doing these. I don't sit there and use the software to spin these things. I don't sit there and submit these articles. I let Joe do that all for me. And that's what we've done for Engagement Gift Ideas HQ. Now, to even spin or to get these things out faster, we've used additional software to be able to submit these content really, really quickly and out into numerous places very, very fast. And the beauty of this is that it actually is all automatically driven by a tool, and it automatically submits these on a consistent basis rather than all at once. And a software that does that for us is a software called tryuniquearticlewizard.com. That's a software that we've been using that allows us to be able to submit multiple articles to different blog networks, and that allows us to be able to have hundreds and hundreds of links submitted all in one go. But the beautiful thing about that particular network is that it doesn't allow you to submit thousands at one go. It just basically allows you to submit like 50 on one day, 50 on another day, 60 another day, and it spreads it all out. And that way there's a less chance that you'll get too many links all at once. And that's exactly what we want. We want to show that Google we are organically creating this content. And that's the reason why I said to you to post out every single post once a day rather than post 30 posts on the first day. It makes a huge difference to your submissions, and also too makes a huge difference to your blog, making it seem more natural. Also, another software that we've been using is called tryblogblueprint.com. And this one also too allows us to submit numerous and thousands of articles out to so many different directories. And these guys have done a tremendous job to set up a system like this, which allows us to do that. So I'd recommend checking these two out if you want to get lots and lots of backlinks, and for your particular virtual assistant to do a lot of the leverage work, because to set these things up is easy, but to actually do them and follow them through takes a bit of time. And this is where the virtual assistant can follow up doing this on a day-to-day basis rather than you yourself doing it. So this is something that I highly recommend to try out and to also use as part of your strategy to get traffic. There are also many other ways. We also submit videos out to different networks, and what we've done, instead of actually sitting there in front of a camera and talk and do it the usual way, what we do is create a slideshow using like Keynote in Mac or PowerPoint presentation in Windows, and then upload that presentation slide into a software called Animoto, which is spelled ANIMOTO.com. And Animoto will take that clip and mix it up with some music and it turn it into a video clip for you. And it only takes a few minutes to do. Once you download that, you can upload it to the various different video networks, as I mentioned. And once again, that will create additional backlinks back to your site as well. So that's a really, really powerful way to go about doing that. By now, you can see where this is headed because there's so many things that you need to do, or I should say, so many things that need to be done for a niche website in order to build it up so that it can be ranked on Google and get onto the first page of Google to be able to rank for that term or that keyword that you're targeting for. And obviously you can't do all this yourself if you chose to go down that path. And that's why I've always recommended outsource it to a virtual assistant or outsource it to somebody who can do these things. And if you provide the right training, which you can follow through, on my show notes, if you go back to the show notes, you'll see a whole step of training videos which I've used to give to my virtual assistant, and you can take those as well and give it to them as well and use it at any time. And they're all free, there's no charge for that. But what I just want to share with you is the step-by-step process, because this is essentially what we do to outsource and create the niche site that we did. All right, by now, if you've done this successfully and you've been getting all the traffic from all these different sources, and also to create all this content and got it out there, and your site is getting lots of backlinks and starting to rank on the first page of Google, then you can start to monetize this. And monetizing takes a bit of time. It's something that I've still taken over the process. So once Jo has finished doing all this process and she's informed me, great, we're up on the first page of Google, we're moving, we're still nearly getting there, and we're getting some traffic coming through, then I'll take over and start to implement some monetization strategies, which I'll probably cover in a separate topic or different podcast, because it is a very detailed topic. But essentially what I usually do to start off with is just to put some basic Google AdSense on to be able to generate just some minor clicks. And when those clicks start to obviously get a lot better and income increases through the site, then we'll try different strategies as well. And the reasons why I don't outsource this part is because I want to be in control of what kind of income and also be in the strategy side. And yes, a lot of people say that it can be outsourced, and yes, it can be. But at this point in time, I personally still handle it, and eventually I probably will outsource it to get my virtual assistant to manage it, but I think she's already got enough on her plate to do all these things. I thought also to give you a rough estimate of timeframes, because all this doesn't happen overnight. Obviously, this episode has spanned it over a few days, and if by the time you listen to this second episode, it's probably been 2 weeks or so, a week from the last one. And you can understand it takes time to set these things up. I mean, like your virtual assistant who will be working for you for full-time or part-time will be able to work on this on a day-to-day basis. Setting up the websites, getting the domain name found, doing the market research. That will probably take you at most for them to find out on 3 to 4 days or so. So for the first week, once they start working, it usually takes 3 to 4 days. But to write content, to submit it to article directories, to sites and so forth, that is a process that takes months. And just from experience, we've taken at least 2 to 3 months to be able to build up that kind of traffic and those kind of backlinks to engagement gift ideas. And we're still building it. We haven't reached the first place of Google, but when we do, we know that we can back off a little bit more and continue to let her to do maybe once a week or twice every month or something like that on submission of articles and directories. But you need to spend this consistently, and it does take time. So don't expect this to be all happening all overnight. And expect that your virtual assistant will do it all for you right now. It's not going to happen. Give it time and allow for these things to be implemented. And I said 2 to 3 months is at least a minimum to expect. And don't expect that will happen within the first month or so. I think I've gone through quite a bit of detail on how this niche site has gone through. And as I said, you can check it out, Engagement Gift Ideas HQ, just to see what it's like. And you can ask me any question that you may have. But I always get this common question that I thought I'd answer and also address is, how can you trust they'll complete all of this? I know I've talked about how successful my virtual assistant Jo has been, and I'm very blessed to have her. But a lot of stories I do hear is that the virtual assistant will not be able to do any work. They come back and they've said, yeah, I've done only this little bit, but I couldn't do that. And I think the thing with trust is you have to give them trust in order to receive it. Because initially, when someone starts on, you don't know, you're really putting a leap of faith into their skills and into what they're going to show and help you do. And really, at the end of the day, you have to give them the trust that you would give to someone who is going to run a business. And if you can entrust into them and encourage them and to motivate them at the same time, that they're going to do a great job and to support them, they're going to do a great job. So give them at least a month to trial it out. And within that first month, really make sure that you've set the expectations, as I mentioned back in the first episode. And also to put in the boundaries in place. So if you set these deadlines to say, in the first week, you have to have this set up. And if they don't meet that deadline, whether it be they don't know what to do, because sometimes they just don't, or that they've just not done anything because they don't want to, then those boundaries are in place, and it's also there to ensure that they meet those boundaries. If they don't meet those boundaries, then they've got those consequences. And if you were listening to my previous episode, I talked about boundaries and also setting expectations. So you can jump back over there and listen to that again. The other thing as well is to ensure that they send to you a daily accountability. The daily accountability is so important because one, it helps them keep track of what they're doing. And two, it informs you of what's going on, because a lot of people find, oh man, I don't know what's going on. They've just been sending me nothing. And I can understand why, because you're sitting there scratching your head going, what have they done? What have they done? So if they send you like a daily accountability of what they've completed, what things they're struggling with, and what they can help you with, or what you can help them with, then at least it keeps you in the loop what's going on. And that's how the process works for me. My virtual assistant, Jo, is very stringent on that. She's very disciplined. And at the end of every day, I receive a report of what she's done and what's been completed and what's not. And I always say thank you. So ensure that that's correct as well. And then last thing I just want to also recommend as well is once you get to the stage of creating backlinks and you are at that stage ready to be able to generate more traffic from backlinks, then what you want to do is to ensure that you have a report to be able to track these things. So maybe use Google Docs, for example, and get your virtual assistant to list out all the backlinks that she's submitted to, or all the different directories or the blogs that she submitted to, and have them listed in there, because it will come in handy for later on to be able to use and track what's going on. Because sometimes Google doesn't pick up on these links initially, and if you've got no idea where they are, then you obviously can't track them back. So make sure you have a report created on how many backlinks have been submitted, how many articles have been created, and so forth like that. And then when you get to the next stage, which is to track your monetization, tracking how much income you bring in, then you want to write a report that's created to be able to track all your income, all your traffic, excuse me, and then also to just track what kind of ranking you're getting through Google and also Bing and Yahoo. Okay, I think that's pretty much it on how to go about outsourcing to a niche site. And if you are interested in following me more on what's been happening with these niche sites that I've been doing, I'll be continuing to talk about that through a little self-challenge that I'm also doing, and in correlation with virtual business lifestyles niche site challenge as well, or niche site accountability kind of thing that's going to be running, a community challenge that Chris Duck is running on there. I'll be also participating in that as well. And I'll be more than happy to answer any of your questions if you have anything in regards to outsourcing an internet business or outsourcing, creating more niche sites as well. It's time for the Outsourcing Live Quick Tip. A tool that I've been using with my virtual staff for quite some time to communicate with them and to show them step by step on what things I need to be done and changed and tasks and so forth is a tool called Jing Project. In short, it's just called Jing, and it's a free tool which allows you to be able to capture your screen up to 5 minutes and then automatically upload it to their service and send that link off to your virtual team. Now, it's one of the quickest and fastest way I've found in the past to be able to communicate to my virtual team. Instead of typing up a long email, copying and pasting images, putting arrows on it, and then sending it all in an email, all I have to do is hop onto my screen, draw it simply using a little tool called Jing, as I've mentioned, and it will automatically capture your screen, whichever size you want, and all you have to do is talk into your microphone and just point to them exactly what things need to be done. And it's one of the most easiest and the very fastest way, or one of the quickest way that I've found in the past to be able to communicate with them. Now, if you want to be able to get access to this as a free tool, you can go simply to my website at outsourcinglive.com/Jing, spelled JING-tutorial. And inside the Jing-tutorial, you'll see the specific details of how I use this tool to outsource and also communicate with my virtual team. And also too, you'll be able to get access to that link to download it directly from Jing themselves, which is owned by the company called TechSmith. And if you've heard, Camtasia is also one of the other very famous and popular tools that they've made. So they've realized that Jing, for example, is a perfect tool for all the people out there who can't afford to purchase Camtasia. So yeah, definitely check it out. Jing Project is an awesome tool, and as I mentioned, you can get it from my website, and I'll show you the step-by-step tutorial on how to use it and set up on your computer.
Now, if you like more resources like this one, you can find them inside Mass Outsource Mastermind, along with video tutorials and step-by-step instructions showing exactly how I use them. To get a 30-day, no-risk trial membership to Mass Outsource Mastermind, simply visit freevideoset.com. Until next time, I wish you success in your quest for outsourcing.